Hello everyone, this is John from RPGs and More, and I hope you are all having a fantastic day. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit there. There we go. And I am here for a very special video because I haven't posted anything in a while. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Combination of life and work and attempting to have a social life all conglomerated together in order to ensure that I didn't have the time necessary to, or the energy necessary to create the kind of content that I wanted to for this channel. So I went on an unintended hiatus. Coming out of it for a little bit here. Hopefully I'll do more videos soon, but we'll see because life is life and this is a hobby. But I did want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart that has happened today or yesterday at this point by the watch ticks, that I would like to share with all of you that I think is really cool. And that is that, well, I should introduce this in pieces. So sorry for the slight cliffhanger there, but let's start from the very beginning. I am a fan of Swords and Wizardry White Box. I've talked about that before. I've used a lot of that kind of material in several videos. Specifically, Swords and Wizardry Continual Light, which is a derivative of Swords and Wizardry Light itself. And so, but also I use a lot of material from the White Box. Specifically, I tend to use a lot of material by James Spahn. James Spahn, for those of you who don't know or haven't seen the videos, not sure what I'm talking about, is the same person who wrote White Star. And this is the Galaxy edition of that game. White Star is basically taking the Swords and Wizardry, taking the White Box rules, Swords and Wizardry White Box rules, and transforming them into a science fiction game. And that science fiction game is reminiscent of both Star Wars and Star Trek and a bunch of other kinds of sci-fi, whatever you want. It can do a lot. You could do a Babylon 5 game based out of that system. You could do BattleTech, kind of, not BattleTech specifically, but a BattleTech style game, a Mech Warrior style game. You could do a Gundam style game. You can do lots of flavors of Star Wars. You could do Firefly. It's a soup and it's great. So that's his work. And he also is the author of a lot of supplements for White Box. White Box Omnibus is the one that I have to hand right now, but I actually have pretty much everything else. Actually, I do have everything else that he's released for the White Box in PDF form that I have printed out and turned into a spiral-bound book that I use as my own White Box Cyclopedia that I kind of put together for myself. And then I learned a few years ago at this point now, that he was planning on making a White Box Cyclopedia, which is a combination of all the material that he has been making for White Box for the past 10 years into one solid book. And I'm excited because on the 7th of January, that Kickstarter went live. I backed that as soon as I woke up that morning. It is pretty awesome. I wanted to spread the word about it because I'm hoping that maybe some other people will maybe they hadn't heard about it and they're interested, or maybe this will be their chance to kind of look into and start a White Box style role-playing game idea. So here is the quick and dirty of it. What is White Box? So some people will be like, John, I've seen some of your stuff and I don't understand this whole White Box thing. You keep talking White Box. Okay, so White Box. Swords and Wizardry White Box. This is the current edition. Previous editions had different covers. They were, some were done by, actually no, they weren't done by Frog God Games. Frog God Games did Swords and Wizardry Complete and Swords and Wizardry. This is Swords and Wizardry White Box. That was done almost exclusively by Mythmere Games, if memory serves. Yes, Mythmere Games, and that is the property of Matt Finch. So, what is White Box? White Box is essentially what happens when you take the rules of 1974 Dungeons and Dragons, 1974. So this is pre-Greyhawk supplement, the original 3 rule books that came in the old original white box, hence the name. And you make a game, a more modern styled game out of just those 3 books. Why is that important? Well, it's important because those 3 books is the genesis of what came later. All right, they are the thing that started D&D. Those 3 rule books. So OD&D began there and became everything else. And if it had not been successful, if it had not have been good as itself in that moment, then we never would have gotten the Greyhawk supplement that came later that added a bunch of other stuff, including a thief. And we never would have gotten anything else added on later that would have led to first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or Basic and Expert, or BECME, or anything that came later. Okay? So you're taking it back to the beginning, back to brass tacks. Swords and Wizardry White Box takes a lot of those old concepts, distills them down into the important nuggets, the ones that stick with you, all right? The basic concepts of how to play the game, and then presents them in a very streamlined, very simple mechanic. You only use a 20-sided die and a 6-sided die in Swords and Wizardry White Box, with occasional references to D4s, I think, but then, that's it. And that is to keep things simplified, to keep things streamlined, keep things moving forward without, what a lot of those questions, especially when you're introducing new players to the game. Oh, what die do I use? D8? Is that which one's the D10? How do I tell a D12 from a D20? All these questions that we get all the time. Those are actually good questions, and I am not trying to degrade anyone that's asked those questions at the table, because my goodness, if I wasn't experienced and I looked at a set of polyhedral dice going, huh? Yeah, it can get really confusing, and you can and especially if you're not sure what's going on, you're left going, what? What's the difference between a D10 and a D100 10-sided? So, but with White Box, you get a 20-sided die, very distinct looking, very big, lots of sides. You get a 6-sided die. If you don't know what a 6-sided die is, you need to open up a Monopoly board or something, all right? I don't know what to tell you. 6-sided dice, just 6-sided dice. We all, they're ubiquitous. They're everywhere. So White Box uses just those 2 types, and they do it very well. So what is James Spahn doing now? He's doing the Swords and Wizardry White Box, he's doing the White Box Cyclopedia. The White Box Cyclopedia is basically, we're taking the rules cyclopedia of D&D fame. That is this hunker, okay? This ginormous book. We got this concept, all those pages. Ooh, that's a lot of pages, yeah. We got all those pages, okay? Now, why is that book cool? It's cool because it takes a plethora of options for D&D, a plethora of concepts and ideas, and distills them into one book. Basically, all the BECME rules, for those who are even slightly in the know, they know what I'm talking about. All the basic expert champions, masters, immortals, except not the mortals, because the I in BECME was too much for the Cyclopedia. Anyway, so all that was distilled into one book, and it was amazing and it was awesome. And you could have everything from weapon masteries to fighting with wooden weapons to blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it's all there. Well, the White Box Cyclopedia is taking all of James Spahn's 10 years worth of White Box supplements, plus a bunch of stuff that he's never published before, which I'm excited to get my grubby little hands on, and turning it into one book, one large book that's like the Rule Cyclopedia, hence the name, but is specifically for white box. So it's over 30 different character heritages or backgrounds, races, whatever you want to call them. You've got, God, I want to say it's at least 30, maybe. A lot. There's a lot of different class options. There's a huge amount of information. Now, this is the time when you had what we would call race as class. All right. So someone was a dwarf, they tended to be a dwarf. And dwarves were kind of a lot similar. So that might be a turnoff to some people, but I would encourage you to look at the rules anyway, because one of the things that White Box does really well, yes, all dwarves are going to be the same, but there's different kinds of dwarves that you can be. There's, the standard dwarves, there's the dark dwarves, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be more information about that in the book when it's finally released. Or you can look at the existing supplements and get an idea of whether that's all at. There's different kinds of elves. There's regular elves. There's shadow elves. There's dark elves. Blah, 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 blah. All right. I don't want to get too deep into it because I have a tendency to go ba 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 ba, and that might be really boring. So I'm trying, whenever I go blah, 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 what I'm doing to myself is saying, okay, that's enough, John, time to move on. All right. So it's live on Kickstarter. What's cool about it is it's being fulfilled through DriveThruRPG, which to me, that's a positive. I love DriveThruRPG. I have no qualms with them at all. They're fantastic. They do print on demand. This is going to be a print on demand thing. When you back the Kickstarter, you are just backing in order to, reserve a spot basically to print your material at cost. So first you're going to back the Kickstarter, okay? And that's going to be an amount of monies that will pay for the development, the final development of the book and the release of the PDFs. And then once that's done, you get a coupon for DriveThruRPG. And with that coupon, you can then get the PDF, either you get the PDF for free or you do the print on demand. And the only thing you pay is the cost of printing and shipping the book to you. Why is that cool? Well, because if you live internationally or, or somewhere that's a bit out there, you're paying that rate, their DriveThruRPG's rate, but you don't necessarily have to pay to have it. I think DriveThruRPG has different printers in different locations in the world, probably like US and Great Britain, for example. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing. Anyway, so then you just have to pay for ship. If you say in Europe, you probably just have to pay for shipping from whatever DriveThruRPG prints their stuff locally there to where you are, as opposed to trying to buy a book from the US and having it sent all the way over to you across the pond. Bleh, that'd be a lot. That'd be expensive, right? I mean, people in Australia, they know the pain. All right. And PDFs, obviously, you grab that whenever you want, and then you can print it at your local place if you like, or print it yourself. I like printing things myself and spiral binding them, but I invested the money to get a spiral binding hole puncher machine. Not everyone does that, and I'm not saying everyone should. All right, so other cool fact. It's due to fulfill this March. Let's say that again. It is due to fulfill March of this year. So that's like less than 3 months from now. I'm kind of excited about that. I did not expect this because I thought we're going to have the Kickstarter and then it's going to be another year before we see the final thing, because Kickstarters, there's always delays, and there still might be delays. I mean, I'm not a guru here. I'm not trying to tell you, oh yeah, there's only going to be no. There still could be delays. So let's be realistic here. But if he sticks to the schedule that has been laid out, I think it has a very good chance of coming in March. And because all the fulfillment is being done through DriveThruRPG, that means that there's a lot less for Mr. Spawn and Barrel Rider Games, who's also involved in this whole thing up to the hip, to kind of trip on. And Barrel Rider has had lots of experience with how Kickstarters and fulfilling Kickstarters and how to do things. And my understanding from reading the Kickstarter material is that it is pretty much ready, almost ready to go. There's just finishing a few things with the PDF, and once that's done, then the PDF goes to drive-through, and drive-through sends them, proofs for printing, and they approve the proofs, and then we are off to the races. So this is a Kickstarter where the 99, I want to say 99, maybe 90% of the work has already been done. This isn't a pie in the sky dream kind of thing. I'm excited about that. I think that's really cool, and it's a great way to do things. Mr. Spawn, so well done there. A lot of the artwork has already been, taken care of, so there's no reason, there are no worries there. I think they just have to work on layout, and that's it. I think that's really cool. So I backed it up for the special offset print edition, so I might have to wait a little longer for my special one, but I'm still going to get the ones from Drive-Thru RPG anyway, because I like table copies. I wanted to let all of you know this is real. Now, I should have said this at the beginning, and I apologize, but I am not being reimbursed for this video at all. This is just me. I am a fan. I have personally purchased this guy's stuff for years because I really enjoy what he does. And I've been waiting for this particular product for the past 2 years, ever since I found out that it could possibly be a thing in the future. So I am excited, and I'm riding the high of the excitement, and I wanted to share that excitement with all of you. I am not being reimbursed in any way, shape, or form. I am not directly affiliated with James Spawn in any way, shape, or form. I do think that he's a pretty cool guy. I have had one conversation with him in a more private setting and over Discord, I think it was. And he seems like a pretty stand-up guy. He's got a good head on his shoulders as far as I can tell, and I am quite happy to support his creative endeavors. I have used his material for years. His Willow Valley campaign setting has actually been something that I have used with teens and young teens, and even, some older kids on multiple occasions in order to teach them how to role play and how to play role-playing games. So I am very experienced with the material that he does. I've actually used the White Star system to run a campaign as well for students, for teenagers. And that went over very, very well. The kids were able to get the system. James does an excellent job with rules and making stuff clear and concise and fun at the same time. I really think the material is great. And I'm actually already planning on doing a kind of solo gaming thing for the Cyclopedia, hopefully for this channel. I don't want to talk too much about it because the last time I did that, everything I talked about ended up going up in smoke, not literally, but never actually manifested, and I feel bad about that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. Just want to say that, when the White Box Cyclopedia is delivered, I'm going to start producing content for it because I'm really excited about it. Even though I'm also working on my own system, and that's a different story, different video topic. So yeah, if you haven't seen it yet and you're curious about it, I recommend checking out the Kickstarter. I think it's really cool, and I'm looking forward to the final result. I'm excited. If you are not interested, that's fine. I'm going to try to do some other videos in the future as well, try to get back into the swing of things, and we'll have other things to talk about. But today was a special case because this thing just launched, and I'm excited, and I want to get it out before I forget, because attention deficit disorder is a thing. All right. Thank you all very much for your time and your energy, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace be with you all. Bye-bye.